I'm Meredith.
I'm Elise.
This is your 20s.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, Levi and Luke, for coming today. I'm so excited to finally have you on this podcast. So this is your 20s podcast, and it is a show to help you thrive in your 20s. Every obstacle you face, this is a show to help you out through that, because your 20s can be some hectic stuff. I'm sure you both know.
Yeah, learning,
a lot of learning.
Yeah.
And I feel like I brought you two on the show because in the couple months that I've met you, I've learned so much from both of you, because you genuinely just have the best souls and energy and like drive to make music, and it's beautiful, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say today. So.
Wow. I think there's enough gas in the tank to get home.
That's my job. I'm the podcast host.
Incredible, yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to start off because I know what you do, but the listeners do not. So what do you do? Where are you from? What's your name? What's your story? And how did you two meet?
I'll let you go first.
Cool. Well, my name is Luke Amaral, but I go by Lukey. I'm a recording artist, singer, songwriter, mix engineer, producer. I kind of wear multiple hats, but I'm mainly an artist. I'm from Fairfax, Virginia, a little town outside of Washington, D.C. And I started making music 3 years ago. Started putting it out about a year and a half ago. And yeah, just trying to take it day by day.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool. Well, I'm Levi Townsend. I record music, write music, produce, pretty much same thing. Wear a lot of different hats when it comes to making music, if you will, and learning a lot about it in the process of doing that, self-discovering through that. I guess I could say I'm from Whiteland, Indiana. Born and raised in Whiteland my whole life. Don't really know where to take it with that, other than right. Just learning and experiencing through the process that is life.
Yeah.
Music is a pretty interesting job, if you could say that. When you put something onto a microphone or, out into the world, it's almost like it instantly beams back at you.
Yeah.
So to be able to do that and be aware of what you're doing in the world, and it's nice reflection.
Yeah.
Sure.
How'd you two meet?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess how we met, we could take that back to how I got into music. So I started making music, like I said, about 3 years ago. It was my senior year of high school, and a couple of my buddies and I decided to start a band. I've always been into music. I've been playing guitar since I was like 9, 10. Oh, okay, cool. Right. So I've been playing guitar since I was about 9. I've always just been like super infatuated with music. And I kind of lost touch with it, I guess, like as I grew up, as my adolescence and teen years kind of kicked in. But then I completely reconnected with it my senior year. And yeah, we performed a couple small little shows throughout like our times. We were called senioritis, which
that's awesome.
Yeah, we all had senioritis.
Wow.
But yeah, it totally just kicked off, like it just sparked, like I knew like, okay, this is what I got to do for the rest of my life. Like I love this. Also watching Wiz Khalifa's vlogs, the day-to-days.
Yeah.
I just see these dudes like sitting around in a studio and like making music and getting high and having fun. And I was like, oh my God, yeah.
You're like, that's the life for me.
Right. That was the first time that I ever saw like the behind the scenes of like my favorite artists.
Yeah.
And what they do. And I was like, okay, yeah, if that's like the behind the scenes and like what you see is even cooler, like I got to do this. I already love music so much, and like this just seems like the life for me. So I was like, all right, how do I start? So I figured I want to learn how to make beats. Like I love these hip hop instrumentals. Like how do you do that? How do you make beats? So I looked up on YouTube like how to make beats, and eventually like I started to kind of get the hang of it. One of my buddies who I went to high school with came over to the house, and he sat down. We made a song. That was my first song, and he made the beat, and
wow.
And I kind of got to watch him, and it was way different, like seeing it actually being done in person, other than on YouTube. So I went back to YouTube after that and had a whole new like, okay, like I saw this, now I really know what's going on. And eventually I learned how to make beats, and it was like okay, I can make beats, but they sound like shit. Like how do I, like how do I,
Yup.
I can't even like, how do you make it sound good?
Overwhelmed, yeah.
Right. Like I can't hear the bass at all. Like that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get that going? So I wanted to figure out how to mix.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, that's where mixing comes into play. So I searched around and eventually I found the Azimuth Recording School of Music Technology. And that is a school run out of Azimuth Studios downtown, and that is where I met this dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
long ago
yeah.
was that when you met?
About a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'd say, yeah, about a year and a half.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was like late 2017.
Yep.
Yeah. What started you at Azimuth? Because I know you've been there for
Yeah,
a long
I've been at
time.
Azimuth about 3 years now, and I was originally out of high school. I was wanting to basically like go live off of the land,
Mm-hmm.
and through some like figuring of I don't want to say real life like that didn't occur, but moved out with some friends and kind of like I don't know, started to kind of like see what life can be outside of my hometown,
Mm-hmm.
and really was, passionate about making music and recording music, and knew it's what I wanted to do long term. So I was looking into different schools that I could go to, and I had stumbled across this place called Dark Horse in Tennessee, Franklin, Tennessee. And I went there and toured their campus, and it was really cool. Really cool faculty and everything. It was just way more centered towards country music, which at the time I was so into hip hop and pop and R&B, if you will, that it just felt like I wouldn't learn any of that there.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wanted something that was going to be more like well-rounded. So I ended up not going there, and then it was probably like 4 or 5 months of me really just going in and learning it on my own.
Yeah.
And I had been learning it a lot before, but like I was like really hitting the books on it, trying to like figure out how to not just like know how to run my setup, but go other places and know what I'm doing, and hold conversations with people that are trained and have been gone to school for this thing. And then I had found Azimuth. There's a guy that I went to high school with who is a couple years my senior, and his name's Tyler Weaver. Shout out to Tyler.
My guy.
And
My guy right there.
yeah, Tyler's a really cool dude, and he had went through Azimuth, like I think right out of high school. So I'd heard about it, and I went up there and did a tour of the place and was like, this place is great.
Yeah.
Fell in love and have been there since.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a good place. Like, I'm so happy I met you guys and got to be at Azimuth, because I feel like I'm in a spot with like my music career where you guys were talking about like the very beginning, where it's like overwhelming. You're not really sure where to start.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's
for sure.
me, like
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
And currently with school, it's so hard because all I want to do is like sit
my
down
God.
and learn it and learn how to make music. But I've already in this commitment, a 4-year commitment, and I just got to get
Yeah.
this degree.
Yeah.
So like the fact that you guys pursued that and kept going with it, because a lot of people in the state I'm in now would just give up.
Yeah.
And just be like, well, that was fun.
I mean,
Right.
That was
it's
a fun
tough.
moment.
It's tough for sure. There's a lot. There's a lot of nights where you're like, what the fuck am I doing? But you just have to trust that, like, you just have to keep going. That's all.
Keep going,
You
right?
gotta-
Yeah, it's a balancing act, and kind of like how I had said earlier about the whole like self-reflection thing. I think it's something that it could be with any sort of hobby, especially ones that are creative more so. It helps keep the youth in you, to where you're
Yes.
open to new experiences and you're open to, because you can feel dumb failing. Like that's okay. It's all right to feel like I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And that feeling can make you feel like, what am I doing in life? Who am I? Like, what does any of this even matter?
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to hit that and know that that's okay and you're going to do that, and to get through that, it feels good. You can then go into other things in life and be like, okay, I've got no idea what this is about, but that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that, it feels like that every time, for me personally, whenever I start writing a song, whenever I do anything, if I'm setting up sound for a live gig, it's like, well, I don't know who these players are. Are they going to be assholes? Are they going to be cool people?
Right.
Like, I could totally biff this at any moment.
Yeah.
And like, but to be constantly reminded of that, it's like, as much pressure as that might sound, it's almost like a complete takeoff, because it's like, well, you're gonna biff sometime, like, you know, you're gonna miss shots.
That's life.
Yeah, and I think that helps the learning of it so much more, because then the biggest thing I think that inhibits learning is the fear of like sounding dumb when you don't know what you're talking about. So you're just like, well, I'm just not even gonna learn it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, get in there and get messy and just like have no idea and be like, well, this is,
and mess up, fail.
Yeah. If you could listen to like my first 50 beats, you probably wouldn't want to, because you'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is just so weird. This is it.
This is not musically correct.
Yeah, it's just
all.
like none of this. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm telling my brother right now, my little brother, because he is trying to go into fashion. But obviously, he's a guy, and like that's just not really. He's always been into it, and he has pressure from my parents to go get a degree in something that'll get you money. You know, because it's so iffy, obviously,
right,
with the fashion business. But he is such an entrepreneur already. He like buys shoes, fixes them up, and sells them for like triple the price.
Yeah.
So he loves style. He loves fashion. I'm telling him like, do it. If it's gonna be scary, you're gonna mess up a lot. You don't know what you're doing yet, but like pursue what makes you happy, because
absolutely,
if you don't, you're gonna see yourself 20 years from now really miserable and looking back at life like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just like the biggest thing, if anyone gets anything from this show, is that they should follow their passions, and they should, despite the obstacles, but despite the day-to-day grind, like do what makes you happy. You two are like doing that with your lives. It's amazing. Like,
definitely. I mean, it's a huge, like, it's realizing like, okay, like you have to follow your passion in life, and then actually doing it. There's a huge mountain in between that, but it's
it's uncertainty, and that's and I think that's something I could say.
It's just, are you willing to hike that?
Right.
That's something I think when you're young, that like you look at adults, if you will, and the ones that seem the most like they've got are the ones that are like, you look at them and they're like, oh no, they're sure what they're doing, like they know what's going on. And being sure is a good thing, though not necessarily all the time. And it's like, when you're unsure, that means that you're still kind of open to like what's going on. So people that are like so sure what they're doing with their career, like like I'm this and I'm that, I feel like by the time you get to be so much older, you're like, well, I was never curious.
Yeah.
I was always so sure of what was going on that it's like I never tried to learn anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's funny. I just think of like being told that like I'm doing it is just so funny, because it's like when you're in the middle of it, it's like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm doing it, or like, you do, but it's the uncertainty. It's like, I could never make another song again, or like nobody could ever listen to a song of mine. I could never have work in any sort of audio perspective ever again. And then it'd be like, well, I was doing it, wasn't I? Like that's the only way to know, is like whenever it's not there anymore. And when you're actively pursuing things, unless you just go, I quit, and then leave it, you're never going to know like that you're actually in it, which is like kind of a cool thing, because to be doing something is like just really good practice of the self,
Yes.
Yeah,
Especially something creative like making music. Like how cool is it that you can make music, and that you have the technology and the ability to make something for someone's ears that they genuinely enjoy. Like, you both have albums out.
Yeah.
Fantastic albums, by the way. I listen to them
you.
all the time. I'm not even kidding. Like, when people say that, I genuinely love your music. Like,
wow.
Thank you so much.
But going off of that, like, you have something to show. You have an entire album's work. And like, do you ever look at it and you're just like, whoa, I did that? Like, I feel like I would look at it every day and be like, I did this.
I think it's really easy to want more than you have and get frustrated. Like,
especially in music,
especially you can drive yourself crazy, like thinking about like what's on the road ahead and getting impatient, which I feel like my biggest problem is I'm kind of impatient. But definitely. I think about 2 years ago around this time when I was like sitting in the basement talking to my dad, like, I want to do music, but I just don't know how to do it. And now I have a whole album out, and that'll turn your mood around.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, to have created something that's so, because this is my second full project that I've put out.
Right.
Yeah, solo. So I can say with the first one, I was very much so kind of like, what's going on? Like, how do you, like,
what's happening?
Yeah,
What's
like,
going on?
because you finish it and you put it out, and then it's like, awesome.
What next?
Yeah, like, well, why is anybody listening? Or
Well,
like
that's
the
the
people
thing,
that
yeah.
are, like, why am I not blowing up? And that can sound kind of like super egotistical.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good way just to sum up the feeling, though. It's not like I wake up in the morning like, what the fuck?
Why am I not
Yeah, I should
performing
be
for millions
huge
of
by now.
people? Right.
Yeah, no, but it is kind of like,
I should be a
you're like,
bona fide
well,
star.
what is it? How does it do? Like,
Yeah.
what's that about? But then with, progression of that, me personally, I've started just to recognize, like, it's okay to be where you're at.
Yeah.
And I think the more okay you are with that, the more centered you're going to be if you stay where you're at, or if you grow exponentially. I mean, everything's going to change, that's life. But if you grow exponentially and you're some huge, if you get #1 on Billboard, like, if you look at all the artists that have ever done that and you look at their personal lives, like, they're pretty crazy, some for the better, some for the worse. But
They
I think that
sacrifice a lot. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that, and I think that it's, you got to like learn to slow it down and just be okay with like, okay, like, not to be so hungry for things. Because then when you get to that like big level, you're still, that hunger's not satisfied because you're not really looking like for more things. You got to be okay whenever you create something with the idea that this is just what it is. Like, this is nothing more, nothing less. Like, this isn't supposed to be something. This is what this is,
I think that's a big lesson for just like in life in your 20s is just like accepting where you are in life. If you're in a shitty job that you don't appreciate and you just are kind of hating your life and you don't see like any reason to keep up waking up in the morning, like, you have to respect where you are in your life right now.
Yeah.
And respect yourself enough that you want change, that you act towards that change.
Yeah.
Or just like in like classes, that's how I feel as a senior right now. Like, I'm just like trying to get through this part in my life, trying to enjoy it and like not take for granted like my friends and stuff like that. But it's also like I'm so eager for the next step.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I have to take everything in right now, appreciate it for what it is, see it as a step. And actually, you know who taught me this? Ciano. He taught me. He was like, I was like, aren't you like, he got a job and he was upset about it.
Yeah.
Because he just wanted to spend his time making music. And he was like, but you know what? This is a part of the process. Like, this is a part of what's meant to be for my life so I can get to where I want to be. And I was like, you're right. You're right, Ciano. So for the listeners, Ciano is another artist at Azimuth, super talented. He's on my song that's on Apple Music and Spotify. Shout out Ciano. Yeah, the plug. But I think it's a great lesson, with music. You just have to be patient. Take Lizzo's career. You know about her story, right?
Oh yeah, no, that was super inspiring to me. See,
Like,
that record came out in when, 2016 or
Truth
20
Hurts, yeah. Truth Hurts came out 2016 and it was nothing.
Right.
Blew up in 2019. And
Right.
she tweeted one time like, I was about to give up my entire career before Truth Hurts got big. And now look at her, like, just living her best life. Like, she had to wait for that.
I love
And
it.
it was worth the wait.
I love to see stuff like that because, like, you put out a record and, like you said earlier, it's like, okay, well, now what? Well, at the stage that we're at, it's like, it's not that it's bad music, it's that nobody's hearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to work to get the ears.
Right.
And that's, I'm sure, what she did, and that's what we're all gonna do.
Right.
Yeah.
And you never know.
You never know.
Not saying it could be Billboard #1, but
You just never know.
you never know. To work hard. Like,
Work hard for it.
You want to just like give up and not know what it could have been if you worked
Right.
harder. It's
Yeah.
all about working to get the ears on it and building up like a true fan base that's gonna rock with you and
Yeah.
buy your stuff when it comes out and help support you and go to your shows and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing in life is to, and some people might disagree with me and that's all right, but I think that putting your hobbies first in the sense of like your work, like obviously family, friends, love, keep that very, very foremost. Though when it comes to your personal ambitions and goals, don't be so focused on your job. Don't like let your job take over like what is your dreams and desires. So it's like, but also don't be upset. Yeah, I think that's the thing is, we're taught when, like through the schooling system when we're really young, like to achieve things, they have to be tangible. And like, so it kind of like trains us to look for these results. You know, like if I were to look at my streaming numbers, I might think like looking at my album like, well, I'm just not doing enough for this or that. Like there's so many factors that, you know, numbers are just a thing. Like that's what's so cool about art is when you create it, it's like it just stands on its own. And if you as the artist really put your all into it, you know, you don't need to get anybody to look at it because all it's going to really take is just that one person that works somewhere at Pitchfork. And then they're like, holy shit, this thing's a masterpiece. Like, you know, and that's the thing I find, not necessarily conflictual, but I like taking a way more hands-off approach, especially working at a recording studio and meeting all these personalities and egos of people who are like, man, you gotta let people know, you gotta get out there and tell them, you know, you gotta say that you're big or whatever. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, you know how whack it is to be like, I'm great.
Yeah,
I know I'm great. I don't have to tell you.
Really
you know what I
goes
mean?
over well.
Right.
Yeah.
You can know that you're great in your mind.
Yeah, you don't
but
have to go around
to tell the
people.
world.
The
It's
best
better when you
promos
don't.
from other people, which
Yeah.
is why word of mouth is the most like important thing in
Yeah.
building like a true fan base
Let
and a
other
career
people
out of
be like,
music.
yo, this guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
she's got it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Not just like,
It's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And coming out there be like, yo, what up? Listen to this. And,
Yeah,
and then
just
somebody
make an
else
ass out
saying,
yourself.
Yo, have you yeah. In terms of like somebody else saying, yo, did you hear Ciano's album is great? Like, no, who's Ciano? Oh, you better listen to this. It's
Right.
a totally different thing.
yeah.
Definitely. Like you need to hype yourself up in your mind because like I'm a big fan of like self-love and you know I'm a big advocate for
Oh, yeah.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't be some bashful weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But, like, you
weirdo.
have
We
to-
said bashful weirdo.
But, you know, like, you can't be like too humble. Like, you have to have like, it has to feel like you're rocking with your own shit. Like,
Yeah,
it has to feel like you're behind
exactly.
you.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
still, like, you can't be like, yo, I'm
You gotta
hot
speak with
shit,
your
look at
energy,
this.
not with your words.
Yeah.
It's like, yo,
Exactly.
I know I'm the shit. I ain't, you know,
Right.
I don't need you to tell me. Or like, even if, yeah, it's like if somebody
Yeah.
comes up to you like, man, your album is trash. It's like,
Oh, cool.
Wow, yeah.
I love it. So
yeah, like, great.
Someone
I'm
else
glad.
is gonna
I'm
love
glad
it.
somebody dislikes it because, like, you know, like that is sometimes even better whenever somebody tells you, like, if somebody's taking the time to tell you that it's bad, that means that like your performance was like at least admirable enough to like review.
true.
You know, you ever like, I'm sure we've all seen something that was just so cringy. It's like, well, on to the next thing.
Of course.
Don't even finish it.
Yeah, not even
yeah.
gonna. Yeah. So, yeah. You know.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
no,
and
for
then I
sure.
think too is like creating things when you put them out there. It's like if you were like kind of not necessarily quiet, but if you give yourself the space to like review your art, I think that's how you're gonna make more potent, truthful, poetic art just in general. Because if you're always like, yeah, no, that was great, that was great, that was great. What's bad?
Yeah.
You know, like how are you being tasteful with like what you're doing? You know, if you're just always being like, yeah, this is amazing, this is amazing. So, and you know, I don't think that that's something you have to try to do. I think that as humans, we generally always have this kind of anxiety of like, is it good enough? So I'm not saying like, you know, like cave into that and just be like, no, it's terrible. It's all terrible. Like that'll just come. Like you'll always kind of have that feeling. But listen to maybe like what it's trying to tell you, you know, like it's not like really your enemy. It's just kind of like, well, it's just trying to prep you to maybe make something that will speak a deeper truth, you know? So yeah, I feel like with this last album, that's something I tapped into was like with my last project. I mean, just the stories I was telling, I feel like everything I hit on deeper levels with this one. But it was like immediately after I put it out, like I know that I've grown and looking at this music and like all the things I would have done different. It's like, you know, if it were to win a Grammy, I would be like, awesome. You know, like I think it, anything can win a Grammy, you know, like
Yeah.
it's deserving of anything. So I'm not going to pull myself back from achievements that can happen. But at the same rate, it's like, I know that I can continually grow upon that. You know?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, like you can be critical of what you do without knocking it,
Yeah.
you know?
So off of that, I was going to ask you, where do you see your career in 10 years?
Ooh. Like, okay. That's a really good one.
Or just your life in general?
Yeah.
Do you see yourself
ideally-
as happy?
Oh yeah. That is like the only constant. Not necessarily happy. I mean, you know, feelings fluctuate, but perhaps more at peace.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of what I'm finding right now. Ideally, like I'm isolated more so from society, not necessarily from people, though I think that like right now I'm living, I don't know if I've told you this, I just moved into an artist colony downtown. And I mean, it's really sweet, and it's exactly what I want right now. Just seeing all these different people and the ways they go about life and the art that they create, and being able to have a space to create art downtown and, you know, meet up with people, have like kind of a centralized location. And that's kind of something I picture I'd like to have being young. While I feel like I want to get out in the scene and, you know, do all these things.
That's cool.
But, you know, I picture in 10 years when I'm, 32, like, I'd like to be in the middle of the woods, you know, playing like a flute, making like Frank Ocean, you know what I mean?
That's the most Levi thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, you know, like
that's awesome though.
That's
so cool. Like, who else would say that? Who else would say that? I'm serious. But I feel like that would be, to do that and live like that would be such a peace of mind that I can't even comprehend. Like, that sounds amazing at this point. Like,
yeah. And the thing about that is, like, it doesn't take money. It doesn't take like being uber successful. So like I think that's something that people often get confused too, is like success or accolades equivalent to like peace of mind.
Yeah.
You know, it's like just because you like right now it's like, oh, like I want to do this thing, like, you know, I want to like have a movie, or I want to have a play that, you know, goes on Broadway or whatever. And it's like, even when you get that, it's like, well, then what? Are you happy?
Are you happy?
Yeah. Was that it? Like,
Was
are you
that it?
finished now? Like, no, life's gonna keep on changing. So it's
Right.
like, you just have to develop that within, and then all the art you're going to create is just like, here you go, world. And then if the world decides to go, woo! It's like, oh, sweet, you know, cool, kind of.
Yeah, but you're making that art for you too.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And initially it was started. You started making music for you, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
The
100%.
intent. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, 10 years from now, God willing, I'll still be making music for sure. I'll be 31. I'll definitely still be making music, but I feel like I want to kind of get more into the business side of things by then. I'll probably want to build up other artists that I think are dope, and who knows, maybe I'll have a kid by then. I mean, a lot can change in 10 years. Just seeing how much has changed in the past, like, 2 years, I have no idea.
Right, yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Probably still just riding the wave and making music and building up other artists for sure.
Doing what you love, hopefully.
Just doing what I love.
That's what I
100%.
wish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully making money at it.
So I guess, like, it doesn't even have to be about music, although we obviously could talk about music. But why is it important for people, especially in their 20s, to do what they're passionate about?
Oh, I mean, that's just important for everybody. Eventually, if you're not doing what you love, I mean, I think we all know you're going to start to hate your life after a little while, you know?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Like, it happens with
It's terrifying.
it happens to so many people.
Yeah. It's actually, I think, my biggest fear.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's what I started to see in high school. As I was starting to graduate, and like you can kind of like, I feel like you have that 18-year-old's idea of like, oh, the future. Like, and
you have no idea what's coming.
Right.
You have no idea.
I just knew, like, I know how like terrible it can be to go to a job that you don't like every day, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Same.
I was a terrible student in school. I would probably be a terrible employee. You
just know yourself.
Yeah,
enough.
I just know that I had to follow my passion, because like, what else? I mean, what else are you gonna do? I just didn't want to. I had such a big fear, like you, of like not doing that. So it's just super important for people to follow their passions and do what they love, because like, it's gonna suck if you don't.
Yeah.
Eventually. And I'm not like, I'm making it sound a lot worse than it is. I think like it's not the end all be all to like, you know, that's life. Like, it is what it is, and like, it's way more. Life is way more. You can have a job you don't really like and still go on vacations and like live a awesome, fulfilling life.
Right.
But it's just like, I don't know. It could be way better.
Yeah. And for some
It could always
people,
be better.
that works for them so well.
for
like
sure.
they work
It's
so
all
that
about
they
what
can
works for you, yeah.
Yes, so they can have a family, which makes them happy, and have money, which makes them happy.
And
but
that
even
might be their passion.
right,
You know,
exactly,
to have
they
a
might be
family and-
doing everything
Yeah.
every day that they are passionate about. And like, I would wish that upon anyone, no matter
Yeah.
what you're doing. Like, no
Yeah.
shame to the 9 to 5, no shame. Like, that's
Especially-
obviously what I'm going to be
I'd
doing
say,
for a
like,
little bit.
When
It's
it's
like
like
my-
not a problem for you, right? Like whenever, I've heard this said before, like if you guys like hot sauce.
Oh, hell
I
yeah.
don't.
Hell yeah.
I'm
Okay.
bad.
Okay, well,
Hell yeah, I love hot sauce.
I'm bad with
you,
spice.
you'll have some sort of thing in life that kind of probably pertains to this. It's like there's something in life, like, you know, we experience pain, and it's like that's like common, but whenever you can like tackle that pain, you can like find some sort of like thing you like with it, but only like certain types of pain. Everybody's wired different. So some people like might want to go to a job that like sucks and just kick that job's ass and then come home and be like, I'm the shit. Like I already did this. That shit sucked. You know what I mean? Like this cannot get worse, you know, but like in a positive way to where they're like, the rest of my day is cake because I just went and did that. And that, you know, like that was terrible. So now I'm here. And if you keep that kind of attitude about it, it's like, well, shit, I can't tell you any different. You know, like you hate your job, but like you fucking love your life. Like, all right, cool. You know, but you know, like for me, it's like, I think that, it sounds a bit morbid, but I think everybody should be a bit more, morbid in this sense. Like the only thing that's promised is death. Like, you know, like that's the only thing we have promised in this life. So if you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm gonna die, like that's like, you know, like one of the first thoughts you have. As wild as that sounds, like you'll look at your whole day and be like, well, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And I'm really gonna, you know, like, am I gonna spend like this amount of time doing this knowing like I'm gonna die? It's like, wow, fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Do I want to spend 8 hours of my day, you know, going and doing something that I'm just gonna through?
Yes.
Just to be like, well, fuck, I could have done, you know, you can be homeless, you know, like that, like there's nothing wrong. You can go live in a hut. You can follow your dreams. It's not about money. It's not about, you know, well, I guess it's all what you want to make it about. But I think that's kind of the trap that people get boxed in through society is like, you know, there's certain things that you just have to do and you have to deal with it. And it's like, well, that's life. Life's going to show you what you have to do, but you don't have to have a job. You don't have to, you know, and you will have, you will deal. It's not like you have to, but you will deal with the implications of that. Having no job means having no money. But then all of a sudden that frees you up to where you're like, well, I'm not bound to anything.
Yeah.
You can, I mean, I work with this guy, Shipe. Shout out to Shipe.
Shout out.
Yeah. I'm doing a session with him this Tuesday, and we've been recording every Tuesday for like the past almost 2 months now.
Wow.
And he's a tattoo artist, and he's just been making music. Like he pretty much just picked it up and was like, you know, I like doing this, and I just want to see like what I can do with it. And the stuff we've been making is pretty sweet. And as we've gotten to know each other, he is from the Bay Area and basically moved to Lafayette, I think around like 8 or 9 months ago. And for like the past 2 years before that, he was traveling the United States like completely broke, had his van stolen with all of his tattoo equipment, and it got impounded like states away. And he like found a ride to the state, got to the van, and all of his stuff was missing out of it.
Wow.
Then somehow he ended up in, and I might be misquoting some of the story a little bit wrong. So if you guys or anybody listening ever see Shipe, you know, you can ask him about this. But yeah, he ended up, I think, somewhere in Georgia, and like found these guys that were basically like, hey man, you know, we'll buy your tattoo equipment if you tattoo us for free. So he got these guys to buy tattoo equipment so he could tattoo them, and then started tattooing other people. And he's a really good tattoo artist. So he just started making money that way. But yeah, it was like hopping on trains and shit for like 2 years. Just like, yeah. And now here he is. And he makes like almost like $2,000 a week tattooing now. Like he makes dumb money right now. But it's like he's very aware. Like we talk about it, and he's like, yeah, dude, you know, I don't know. It could be like a year from now, I could be broke traveling again. Or I could, you know, he's like, you just don't know.
Perspective. That's such a rare perspective, like on life. And I feel like for someone who's gone through something like that, where everything was taken away from him, like,
yeah, like nothing.
Even though he doesn't really care about that stuff, like he still found his way and like is happy and like is like minimalism. Like I think minimalism is one of the best things for humanity right now, and it's like a wave that's coming. I feel like it's like minimalism might be big in like 3 years. Right now, it kind of seems like the odd thing to do. But I genuinely think...
Oh, it's growing so much.
It is. Yeah. It really is.
This is something I recommend to everybody in their 20s. Pick up a book on the art of feng shui. I'm in the midst of the book. I'm probably like 8 chapters in now. And applied it to this apartment that I moved into. And basically the big idea that I got from this was that all the stuff that I had at my apartment that was just in storage, I looked at, and like a lot of family relics, a lot of personal relics, things that I just kept to be like, well, you know, like in case I need it, you know, I'll have that. And reading this book, it talks about how we do constantly put our energy into these material things, which is all right. You know, you use something like our clothes, we're using them, so our energy is kind of attached to them. But it says whenever you have like a lot of stuff in storage or a lot of stuff around that you just don't need, you're like, it's like your life is kind of clogged up and new energy can't come in. So, I mean, all of like, I'm talking family photos and things that I had, I threw it all away, threw it all in the garbage. And, you know, a lot of people would be like, wow, like what, you don't care about, it's not about other people, you know, because that's what other people would say. But me in my mind, like, you know, I was kind of asking myself that, but it's like, there's a voice almost instantly hitting me going like, you live that. Like you were in those photos, you know what I mean? Like This is like the life you live. So it's like, carry that with you. Don't just store it away in some box somewhere. Yeah. To look at it later and be like, oh, like think about
Better
those people.
days.
Yeah, be with those people, even if they're not really here, you know?
Wow.
And yeah, like all sorts of things like that. Everything, if it basically goes to say, like, if you haven't used something within the past 6 months, other than things like, you know, like a Christmas tree, like, of course, you're going to use that again. So things that you know you're going to use in your core, go ahead and keep. But things that you haven't touched in the past 6 months and you're trying to give yourself a reason that you might want to keep it, just throw it away. Doesn't matter, like, what it is. Because then you all of a sudden have this empty space, and that might kind of freak you out, like, wow, I don't have anything. But then you'll be so surprised by the bountiful energy that will come in. Because now you have space. You've opened up this energy in your life for life to give you new opportunity.
Wow.
Yeah, I just want to say, just touch up back to following your passion one more time. For anybody who's listening that hasn't found theirs yet, we're all very fortunate that we have. But there's nothing wrong with if your 20s whizzes by and you still haven't found anything. Like most people, they're living the hustle, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. Just make sure you stack your chips and are able to go on vacations and find joy in the little things in life. And that, you know, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. Just want to put that out. There's no pressure to try and find your passion or follow your dream, because I feel like a lot of people get stuck in like, oh, I should be following my dreams, but I don't know what that is. I don't know what I want to do. Like,
I haven't figured it out.
That's so okay.
Yeah. Well, I'd say too.
Just try and enjoy life, and you never know when something might come to you that you really like.
True. Yeah. On that note, what might help people recognize that? Yeah, for sure, it's never too late. You could be 60 and realize, like, holy shit, I love collecting Power Rangers, and I'm gonna sell them for the rest of my life. You know, like
you never know.
It might not be something conventional, like, you know, like we're sitting here talking about music, and it's like, oh, like, you know, people think like, oh, you have to be a painter, you have to be this or that. Like, you could be fascinated with how light bulbs work, and like, you know, like just the things that fascinate you the most. There's something somewhere where somebody's willing to pay you money to do that, and you know, like that's what defines it in life as a job or whatever. But it's like, yo, like just follow your passion wherever it takes you, you know, and then through that, like you just meet the coolest people because you connect on such a level that's like, wow, you get it. You know, you're not just like next to Sharon at the day job, like, well, this is it. You know, like you got nothing to talk about because it's like there's
Sharon.
I don't know, you know, like I mean, no knock to anybody named Sharon, but it's like, you know, you can be next to Levi at the day job,
right, there you go.
Hey, you know, we have nothing to talk about because there's nothing here that like sparks our love for life, you know. But like if you're, I don't know, you ever gone to like a Comic-Con? Like, holy shit.
Passionate.
Yeah, like, you know, and
so much passion.
It's not my bag, but that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like that is for people that love that. Yeah. And there's people that like live their whole lives on that. So it's like, Alex once said this to me. He's like, you know, I bet it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. He's like, the love that I feel is like when I'm on top of a mountain. And he said that like, you know, being on top of a mountain, he's like, I just cannot replicate that feeling. He's like, but I guarantee you that there's some dude somewhere that gets that same exact feeling whenever like he beats the game in his mom's basement. And it's like, he's not a loser. You know what I mean? Like, that feeling that you can just like love and experience. It's like, yo, just find that within yourself, you know?
Yeah. So feng shui, is that like, I guess I'm not too educated on what that exactly means. Is that like the energy you feel?
It's the way energy flows.
Okay.
So it's like, the idea is like, just as with life, like energy is always changing. Okay. Like it's always moving. Moving energy is clean energy. It's healthy energy. Stale energy is like, you know, stagnant. That's where some people might think like it's bad vibes or whatever. It's, you know, good, bad, whatever. It's just energy. So it's like if you can make a space work and move more and be functional, that's where feng shui kind of tends to kick in a lot more. Wow. Bad feng shui would be like if we took this table and just placed it right in front of the door. And then like you try to open the door and it's like, boom, oh. Like,
it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't, it's not happening right, you know. And yeah, I mean, you can look almost everywhere and make like little improvements that will pick up the feng shui of a place or a room. If you look into like Oriental style, like it's really popular in Japan. like low seating, minimalistic things like TVs really aren't too good feng shui. You know, I'm not telling everybody to go throw away your TV. I did. But I recommend it, but I'm not going to say it's like, you know, terrible to have one. But, you know, the more things that are...
last time I watched TV, to be honest with you.
Yeah, same.
It's always just YouTube on my iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, what's really interesting is it's like kind of disconnecting at this new apartment, choosing not to have Wi-Fi. So it's like can't get on the internet, you know, not on the computer. So it's like having that plus no TV. I'm reading books now more than ever. And it's
I applaud you, Levi. I really do. That's so rare. That is just so rare for people to do. So like people listening, like also with Luke, it's not like you're like a piece of shit because Levi's doing all this stuff. But like listen,
it's Wi-Fi
yeah.
central around my house.
No
I'm
shame.
Totally, yeah,
I'm
no,
in
nothing
the
wrong with
grid.
it.
But that's just
it's
what
not
works.
Good. It's not good, but I'm all day.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I catch myself all the time. I'm like, damn it, what am I doing? Because I feel
On
like,
your phone, you mean?
Yeah, and going on social media, and I'm totally guilty of it.
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Like
100%.
big time. But you know,
I still am too, you know, like just out of like nonsensical, like, you know, it's not like I just sit there and like the phone's, you know, completely gone. Like I'll still get on and be like, yep, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But it's like, you know, I think to see that and know that like that's just it. As like bad as it might sound, we just have to accept that's normal.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and like that's okay. Like there's nothing wrong. I think whenever we're like, you know, like, oh, like as a generation we're this or we're that, like we just have to accept like this is like what we're doing. And then when you do that, you go, well, what else could we do?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like with the feng shui thing, like I don't do it to be like hipster or cool or like try to be different. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
I found that this works in my life. So
Right.
it's like, you know, and I wouldn't throw it on people just because, but like, you know, if I ever, I mean, you know, with the talk of this podcast, it's like, if you are in life, you know, like looking for something and you feel like it's, you know, that you're searching for this passion, you're searching for this like love and lust for life, it's really in the mystery. And, you know, when we're on our phones all day or, you know, we're so caught up in what things are, we're so certain that we kind of kill off the mystery. Mm-hmm. You have to kind of like let the mystery be if you want to have that like love and lust for life. Like, you know, like what's going to happen if you can just like go like, well, I don't need to know, you know, like to be able to sit in a room and like not Google something and just try to like, you know, feel and figure out what it might be. Mm-hmm. You might even still get it wrong. Google might tell you the right thing, but it's a lot more fun to just be like, well, like, let's just try to, you know, feel it out.
Yeah. What I think is wild, like on the topic of social media, like we spend our day watching everyone else's day.
Yeah.
As kind of like a distraction from like our personal lives or like stuff we're going through or like self-development, and so much that could be happening like emotionally within us is kind of pushed to the side. And obviously I'm a contributor to this but I catch myself and I'm like, why do I care about everyone else's day? Like no one's gonna post their failures. Everyone's like living their best life, and it can tear you down because
that's the thing,
you just see everyone winning all the time and you're like, well, I don't really feel like I'm winning inside, you know, like I struggled a lot with that in high school.
That's the problem with social media, especially like I feel bad for you girls. Like
girls is hot.
I feel like it's bad for dudes, but I feel like you guys, it's like you go on Instagram and you see all these like beautiful girls with these like doctored photos and like all edited to shit, and they're on some like crazy vacation.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, their lives look super interesting.
Yeah.
My life is not that interesting, and I'm not that good looking, so I must suck.
Right. Exactly. It's a
like,
mind game.
It's like, no, it's not that at all.
Right.
Like,
This might sound like
completely, it has nothing to do with reality.
Right.
Yeah, I was about to say this might sound like almost terrible, but I took a break from Instagram for about a month, and I now like will get on it just to like objectively, like to check something or just be like, you know, hey, I want to see like what so and so's up to. I have a friend who went out to California and now just got back, so like I contact him through there because he doesn't have a cell phone. But I was off of Instagram for like about a month, and I got on, and like the first thing in my feed were just like, it was like gorgeous woman, gorgeous woman, gorgeous woman, gorgeous woman, gorgeous woman. And I was like, wow, I have not seen anything like this in reality. Now, not saying like in the past like 4 weeks. Now, not saying I haven't seen or met gorgeous and beautiful people, but it's like, this is all just a facade. Like, cause I saw you like last week and you were nose deep in your phone and it looked ugly. And it was like, you just like look like what are you doing? You know, like you don't, most of the people, and that's, you know, not to like knock people, but like most of the time when you see somebody that's like all posed for that photo, if you've ever seen somebody take like that photo, it's like they get all like up for it, and then it's like boom right in it, and they look like so like hideous. It's like
I know.
your personal energy like sucks, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something I notice is like, you know, like just the people being off of phones, you know, like when somebody walks in the room and like can be a real person and interact,
Right.
like that is beauty. That is like, that's what it's about. But then like, you know, it's so interesting how the mind just switches, because when you're on the phone and you're looking at it, you're like, wow, this is all so great. Wow. But like you see that actual person in real life and it's like, it's not that. So it's like the things that we see, like people winning, it's like nobody, like it's not even a real thing, you know? It's just like this like cardboard, like, you know, like house put up behind a fucking burning building that's like going crazy. And it's like, yo, it's cool. Like everybody fails, everybody wins, everybody has that going on. But it's like on Instagram, like, I don't know, like you're not going to post a photo of like your stubbed toe and be like, fuck, that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, but that shit happens, you know? Like,
I love how your mind went to stubbed toe.
well, you know,
That shit hurts.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, it's real life. I'd relate to that more so. If I saw that, I'd be like, I can interact with that. I can be
Yeah.
like, damn, I feel you. But like when it's just like what more do you want? Like, like why are you even posting if you're like out on the beach and you look gorgeous? Like, what do you want from Instagram? You've already got it all. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's already all there.
I think with Instagram especially, there's been a big movement of using it not to just post pictures of yourself, which is what I used it for a long time, but transforming into how can my post help other people?
Exactly.
And what am I bringing to someone's life? Because I know they're spending their entire day on the app. What message can I get to them? And that's been my mission the past like couple months. Like, what can I tell girls who are looking at Instagram all day to help their self-love and to help their like view of themselves?
Yeah, their psyche.
Right.
Their psyche of themselves. Like, because I know I've struggled with that.
Yeah,
you
I've
know.
seen you represent that on the gram, and I really respect it.
Thank you. I
real.
appreciate that. But like, I think it's important that, you know, like with music, you guys do that and show people, hey, this is what I'm doing. Here's how I can help you start. Here's how I can help you find your passion.
Yeah, and that's the really cool thing about it, about phones in general, is that they're like, it's the most resourceful tool
Yes.
like we've ever had.
we
as
have the
humans.
whole world in our
Yeah.
little hand.
Like, you know, I remember being in like I think it was like 5th or 6th grade, and I had a flip phone, and just like, you know, it was like, oh, like, you know, I remember having to like think about like, oh, I don't need to grab a calculator, like I can just use my phone.
Yeah.
And you know, and then it's like now it's like you can like all the flashlights, like any information you want to look up, like there's so many resourceful things with it. And just to know that that's what it is, it's a tool.
Yeah.
You know, so if you want to communicate with somebody, it's a great tool. But to use it as like as a distraction, I think that's where it gets dangerous. Because it's like, wow,
Right.
like, what am I, you know, like if you're just bored, it's like, well, like sit with your thoughts for a minute. Maybe,
Right.
You know, like.
read a book.
Yeah.
Read a book. That's
Yeah.
been my biggest thing is like
Yeah.
actually reading for enjoyment and not for school has been the best thing in the world because I'm like, I actually want to read now.
Yeah.
And I never used to be like that.
Same here. All throughout school, you know.
Hated reading.
Yeah, because it was like, I mean, when we were all younger, I'm sure we all did AR.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it was like having to read, having to do that, and it's just like, oh, this sucks. But yeah, I mean, when you can actually read something and like you'll like put the book down and be like, fuck, this book's from 1936 and it's describing everything I feel right now in life.
Yes.
Like, how is that even, you know?
Yeah.
Because like, you know, you'll be on your phone and it's like you'll get this new news story and it's like, well, yeah, like duh, it makes sense, it's happening right now. But it's like that. You're like, this book isn't tied to anybody, you know, like I just randomly got this thing and now here's this information in it that's like directly applying, and it's like, wow, I think that books are kind of sacred in that way because you can like it's almost like, yeah, like you'll like look around and be like, I can't, you know, like I can talk about somebody with this, but it'll be a new idea for them.
True.
It's like, just like with memes, like everybody can like be like, yeah, it's like you can't even finish a sentence about a meme before both people get it. And then it's like, well, it's already dead. We shouldn't even finish this.
Right.
Because it's like, we both get it now. But it's like to read something that is actually like self-help, but then like you look up and look around and it's like, oh, like this isn't even like in like full circulation. Like this is like actually has room to be applied.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it's just like, oh, well, yeah, everybody gets that, so it's already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Uh-huh.
Well, how old are you, Levi?
22, so I'm 97.
22.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I'm
and
a
you're
Hawks.
21.
Yeah.
I'm also 21. So we're literally so early in our 20s, and I feel like we have all this
Yeah.
knowledge. Like there's so much growth. There's so much growth in our 20s. Like
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Okay,
we got it.
I'm gonna go ahead and conclude. Unless there's any other final thoughts that's been like on your mind, get it out. What you want to say?
I just dropped my first album, The Feelings Mutual, on July 30th. Go
Yes,
check
you
it out. It's on
did.
I'm just gonna plug myself.
Yes.
I'm almost done with the writing and creative process of my second album.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I'm
I wanted to
so excited.
announce that here for anybody that's listening that fucks with the music.
Yeah.
That'll be out in probably, well, it'll be a while because I want to do it. I really want to do the release process right
This
time. But yeah, that's exciting news.
Yes, it is. I will plug the shit out of both your albums. Trust me. Trust me.
Gracias,
Other than that,
gracias.
if you're early in your 20s, don't freak out. Everything's going to be okay. You got plenty. Like Gary Vee said, you're 23 and freaking out. Shut up. You got plenty of time.
I love
worry.
Gary Vee. Yes.
Don't worry.
Yes. Anything, Levi?
This is something, a bit of logical advice that I have recently done that I feel like has, it's almost like it's created a different approach for me in life as far as like dealing with anxiety of just like, what am I doing? I recommend everybody buy land. And I say this because we as a human population are continually growing. And I don't say it out of like a fear of like, there's not going to be enough land for people. But if you think about it, the human population is continually growing and there's only so much land on Earth. So when you think about it that way, land value is always going to go up. So it's like, go get land and know that like, even when you're freaking out about like, what am I even doing with life? Well, at least I have like dirt to sit on that I can call mine. Now, not telling everybody that that's what they specifically should do or ought to do, but just, maybe think about it. And for me, it's taken a lot of, anxiety about like, thinking like, all right, just different things like kids, marriage, like everything that it applies to. It's like, well, I at least have a place I could do that.
Yeah.
I have a place I can sleep if anything, whatever. And what's really cool about that is that I now kind of feel more free to the idea of traveling the world because it's like, where I'm born and raised, within relative location, I now own property myself to that. So it's like I kind of have a piece of home now no matter what.
Yeah, no matter where you go.
Yeah, and I could end up in Italy and be like, no, I love Italy. I don't even, whatever, like, sell the land or whatever. But it's created this really cool space. And if you're just freaking out about like what you're doing, it might not even be land, but something in which it's gonna ground you really well. Recommend that. I think that's a good way to get through your 20s is just do something that can ground you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely, when you don't have a lot of responsibilities, travel as many places as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And go there for
that
like
as
a
well.
week, immerse yourself in the culture, learn some stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. True.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, this will be the final thing for me.
I love it. I love the wisdom in here. I love it.
Yeah. This is something I saw on I think it was like Jim Carrey's first stand-up special. You could use the tool of your phone and go on YouTube and look that up. He was on stage and he was basically saying like, he's like, I love being young, and everybody was laughing. He's like, you know why? And then he kind of just was like, and for everybody listening, like, like he was just bouncing, kicking around, like just did a whole bunch of flagrant stuff. And he's like, because you can't do that when you're old. And that kind of hit me really different. And it's like, yeah, like you do the things that you can't do. Think about what you can't do when you're old and like go ahead and do that now, like go travel, go do all the crazy stuff. Yeah. Cause it's like, you're only young once.
True.
Kind of going back on the morbid idea of like, the only thing that's promised is death. You're not going to get this chance again. So don't freak out about it, but just go do the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though your 20s can be so hectic and so confusing and like overwhelming, you are so able-bodied. Like your body right now is young. Do stuff with it.
Yeah.
You are able to do so much more than what you think.
Yeah.
Like, enjoy this time for what it is. Like we said earlier, it's coming full circle. Just like enjoy where you are right now. Enjoy the struggle. Enjoy the hustle because if you're doing it with the right mindset and with a peace of mind and with something that's grounding you, you will get to be where you need to be in life.
Absolutely. Trust the process.
Yeah, last thing I'm going to say, trust the process.
Yes. Oh, thank you two for coming today.
Thank you so much for having us.
sharing
Yes.
your stories and sharing your wisdom and just
Yes.
being here. And I really appreciate it. Yes, go listen to their music. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. They are so talented.
Holla.
And thank you so much for being on the show. So I'm gonna do the little tagline that we have. So it's you may not have your shit figured out, but that's okay. This is your 20s.
That's quite all right.
Boom.
All right, and with that, we will see you next week and have a great week. Take this advice and run with it because this is some great advice. I learned a lot today. And thank you guys.
Thank you.